Welcome, everybody, to the Genesis Project Podcast. Business principles for beginners from the School of Hard Knocks. They say that success leaves clues. In this podcast, we're going to discover the clues that it leaves behind, and we're going to start at the very beginning. We'll get into the weeds of how the guests of the show came up with their business ideas, the why behind their business ideas, how they dealt with setbacks and failures, what keeps them pushing forward, and the emotions behind it all. Everyone wants to start a business, but many are held back by something that keeps them from starting. We'll learn what it takes to get to the next level of business and beyond, and we're learning together through different principles of people who graduated from the School of Hard Knocks. So, grab you a pen, some paper, and a highlighter to take notes, because class is in session. Welcome, everybody, to the Genesis Project Podcast. I am your chancellor, the host of the show. I am Bernard Gleaton, and I'm really excited to bring this next guest onto the show, into the classroom, because one, we share a technical background. Two, she's a woman in a tech field, which is something that I love to talk to women about, especially being in the tech field. And three, she is doing some amazing things. And there is one question that I have to ask her, or my wife will kill me if I don't ask her. And you guys will find out in just a few moments. So let me bring to the classroom guest professor Sasha Schriber. Say what's up to the class.
Hello, class. Hi, everyone. I'm Sasha Schriber. I'm CEO and founder of technical startup based in Switzerland, in Zurich. And I'm running a team of 10 techies who are aiming at monopolizing and democratizing online marketing using machine learning technology. And in my professional career, I was leading a technology and innovation group at Disney Research. The group was developing prototypes and new technologies for the media entertainment industry for the Walt Disney Company.
And see, if any of you guys know me or my wife, you would know that my wife is a huge Disney fan. And if she had the choice, she would marry Mickey Mouse and divorce me. But so glad Mickey Mouse is a frictional character and that she can't really have him. And there's tons of stories I could go on about that. But hey, maybe another time. So class, I want you to understand just how excited I am to have her in the classroom, because like I mentioned, she is a tech person and she is a woman. She is a woman in the tech field. And if you know me, I come from the tech world. I'm a techie at heart who's all of a sudden doing podcasting. So I'm so excited. So let's go ahead and get started. Are you ready? Yes, Professor?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So the first question I want to ask you is, what is your Genesis moment? And for all of those who are brand new to the class, let me tell you what the Genesis moment is. A Genesis moment is when you come to a fork in your road and you can go right or left, but you see your life beyond those steps. And it doesn't necessarily have to be good and doesn't necessarily have to be bad. You just see your life and everything that could be on both paths. So let me give you an example. An example of a Genesis moment for me was me deciding to start this show, the Genesis Project Podcast. Another Genesis moment is me getting married. Another Genesis moment is me deciding to try out and play for the CFL, 4 years removed from high school and never played it down in college. So, guest professor Sasha, what is your Genesis moment?
It goes way back into year 2014-15. That was the moment in time in my professional career when I felt really, really being at the top, working in one of the largest entertainment companies in the world, leading an research and innovation group at one of the research laboratories in Switzerland, working in a close collaboration with Federal Institute of Technology, which is one of the top tech universities in the world, and practically having this unique position, being on one side having a huge insight into a Walt Disney company into corporate world and entertainment industry, and on the other side being well situated and talking every day to the most brilliant minds of the technological and research communities in computer graphics, computer vision, and machine learning technology. And back in the days when you think of year 2014-15, machine learning technology didn't really exist in the way we understand machine learning technology now. It was all mathematical and statistical models. And there were almost no students who would be working on these topics and who could call themselves machine learners. It's only now became more and more mainstream because, as you know, students are smarties, so they quickly realized that it's the huge trend. And then now, of course, everybody is switching from other sciences like physics, for instance, or biology. They all now are keen on doing machine learning just because it's a trend and obviously means more probability of being published or higher salaries, and if you go to Google and Apple and other biggest players. So for me, my aha moment was, nevertheless, I had this huge insight into the entertainment industry, corporate research, leading a team, working with researchers, software developers, UX, UI designers, and developing prototypes, technology prototypes, and then passing those into the product teams for a large company. But still, my day-to-day frustration was I really, really wanted to build something that would be facing millions of users. And in technology and in research in particular, everything takes time. Well, good things take time anywhere and everywhere, but in research in particular, because PhD cycle corresponds to at least 3 years. So if you decide to work on a particular topic and particular technology, develop a particular prototype that solves some problems, answers certain research questions, you need to count on many years ahead that you will be working on this topic, and maybe teams working on this topic. And mind you, in some of our research projects we had up to 40 different researchers from different universities, Yale, Harvard, and beyond, working on one particular prototype, and it was really exciting times. But still, if you think of it, you can't just go to a PhD student and say, hey, by the way, now dynamics company strategy has changed, you have to switch your topic, right? The PhD topic. This doesn't work. So what I wanted to do is, and it's a little bit of a long introduction, what I wanted to do is I wanted to build products that really facing millions of users. And technology is out there. It's not to take over jobs of other people. That was always my motto, and this is why I'm in technology in the first place. I always understood technology as a way to make people's lives easier and better. So if technology makes my life more complicated, then it's probably not the place to apply this technology. And if technology does make my life better, then again, it's a wrong technology. So what I wanted is to really take control and utilize the technology in order to make something really, really good. And this is how the idea of Nanos, my startup, my company, this is how it came up. And it was true genesis moment when I was talking to one of my friends who was not digitally native. So he was a language teacher. And we were once in Anaheim in Disneyland in the park, and it was actually 5 a.m. in the morning, because we researchers, we had to go from time to time and do the training in the parks just to understand how things work, and also think of how technology can help optimize day-to-day operations in the parks. But what was the situation I was in a bus. It was really cold and early in the morning, and I was not really in talking mood. And my friend, language teacher, who was teaching us languages in our lab, he was telling me, "Hey, Sasha, so many people. I'm teaching languages to students, and I would really like to have more students to teach languages." Mm-hmm. And I just printed this stack of business cards, and that's 2015. I printed this stack of business cards, and I give you half of it. And he actually passes me over the stack of business cards. Take it, and you can distribute it among your friends, and maybe one day some of them needs, to learn a new language, and I can help them. And this was my aha moment. I thought, wow, first I, of course, asked him, hey, can't you just give me your website link? I'll distribute it, I'll put it on Facebook, or maybe I'll send it around, pass it around. He said, no, I don't have a website. That was another genesis moment of, okay, why don't you have a website? He said, yeah, I don't know how to do it, and I'm not really good with technology. So in 5 days, we built him a website. I asked one of my interns to build a website for him. And then 1 month later, he comes back to me and he says, Sasha, I put this stack of business cards on your desk. Please distribute those among your friends. And then I was like, okay, I know we built your website. It looked pretty good. I checked it myself. It looks awesome. So don't you have clients now? He says, no, nobody calls me. Nobody calls me. And he points me his cell phone straight into my face. Nobody calls me. So this was another moment when I realized, okay, you can't build a website and you don't know, even if you have a website, you don't know how to advertise it. And I went back to my office and I talked to the intern who built the website, and I said, look, what now my friend needs to do in order to get clients? And she would tell me, well, he has to advertise it. And I said, well, how? And she said, yeah, you have to read this 600 pages Google AdWords book, and then learn about, go to this online course on Facebook ads, on and on. And I cannot imagine my friend would ever do these things. So I opened one of these books myself, and I started reading it. And it was really, it was a really interesting book, I have to say. After maybe being into 80 pages of that book, I realized how much we can already automate, again, to year 2015, back in the days, if we had access to data. And this was this true moment in my life when I realized, wow, we can really apply technology, and we run some tests, what we could do already for automation, for ad creation, for ad placement, for the targeting of the ads, and did run some tests. And it was really, really remarkable, how much we can do already now compared to what we could not have done, for instance, 10 years ago. So this was really, really the moment in my life when I thought, wow, I'm up to something really interesting here, and I would like to make it as my main activity for the day, just to devote myself and build a dedicated team specifically for solving this problem, to make online advertisement more accessible to anybody, to lower the entry barrier into online advertisements. So also non-expert users, non-professionals, non-marketing people who don't have marketing knowledge, technical knowledge, also not time to learn all of these things, can also use this technology and in a very simple way and be visible out there without big budget or without much effort and time invested into it. And another thing I wanted to point out is about being a female technologist, if I may, as part of the introduction. So I have to admit, in the past, in our lab, I was the only woman on our floor, and it was, I had all the privileges because, I could go to the female bathroom without waiting in the line. So it was, it had some positive sides to it. But I was actually questioning, why is it not more women in the technology? Now, of course, it is more, and I'm very happy about that. But what I feel is, one of the main reasons there are not so many females not so many women in technology is because it's still considered as something that is very complex and difficult for once. And maybe many women just don't trust themselves into, putting a lot of time, because, you have to put some serious studies. It's not something, we quickly can learn on YouTube, how to do. So that's for once. For second, of course, there's still this intrinsic pressure from the society, of course, that you have to, if you work and then you want to build a family also at the same time, it takes a lot of pressure and it's rather difficult. And what needs to be done is a very good ecosystem needs to be built in order for women to feel comfortable that she can do everything, she can do both. And a woman can do both. Look at me, I have family and I'm running a company, and I'm also participating in many other things I'm interested in, and I have my hobbies also. So I can find time for everything if you have a proper ecosystem set up around you. And ecosystem, by ecosystem, I mean it's your supporters, your immediate family members, of course, your partner, parents, friends, nannies, and God knows what. It's everything. And nowadays, I feel when in the situation of a lockdown, it's an opportunity also to build this ecosystem actually in a very a novel way, which should probably increase the number of women
Mm-hmm.
in technology. Yeah.
Yeah. So I one, of course, I feel that being in the tech field for over 10 years now, I may have seen maybe 4 or 5 women in the tech field within my years of being in the tech field. So, I hope it shows why I'm excited to have you on here. Two, the fact that you are a techie, again, that's just excited to me. I feel that I wish there were more women in the tech field. I feel that women, a lot of the women that I came across who are in this field are incredibly smart, who are, you know, coming up with ideas, and they just look at problems and situations a lot different from me, and they bring something incredible to the table. I found that from my years of playing sports, American football, my position in American football was a very analytical position, whereas I have to analyze everything and then try to make some good decisions based on the data that I have in front of me or past data and things of that nature. So for me, it was just a natural thing for me to just fall into the technology space. The fact that you, one, a woman, two, going into this field, and three, obviously running your own company. That has to be incredibly difficult. But I would agree exactly what you said with as far as having the community, having the ecosystem created around you to help and support you do that, you know?
Well, what I can say, why now I see more and more women in the tech industries is because it's probably not a secret that there is such a thing that exists, and it was explained to me by one of my mentors, and I had many mentors in my life, both men and women. It's called look-alike. It's unspoken rule, but it's called higher look-alike.
Yeah.
And I will explain that in a second. So I think this is the main reason I see now more and more women in the tech industry, is because I hire more women than probably any other men would do. And that's pretty much what look-alike rule is. It is you hire somebody you like and who looks like you. You hire somebody you can, discuss things easy, and, who would understand, who is on the same wave, has the same goals and same ambitions as you. If you, for instance, very outgoing and extrovert person, and you would probably also hire people who are extroverts around you, most likely. I mean, not always the case, of course, depending on the set of skills required and what kind of company you're running, and who is the decision maker. But if you are the decision maker, I think it is something that would probably everybody would admit to themselves, that you more keen on hiring somebody that is more like you, with whom you would be open to have a beer after work, or with somebody you don't mind, being stuck, miss a flight and being stuck in the airport, and not being bored, and not being annoyed by the situation. So this is a little bit also the same for me. So when I make hiring decisions, and I had so many applicants, candidates, and I had to fill so many positions throughout my professional career in corporate and research, and now in the industry, it is I rarely look at the gender when application arrives, and I first foremost look at the hard skills. Okay, what kind of position I need to fill. And let's say, okay, it's a software developer. I have to say now, for software development positions, I'm getting a lot of applications from female candidates. We had an open position for social media content coordinator. Probably you would expect maybe there were lots of women. There were not. There were also lots of men applying for this position. Again, I would not look for whether or not what kind of gender is it who is applying, but I would really look into skills. If skills are suited for this position, the more skills, the better, obviously. To cover, in particular in the startup world, you want to have somebody in case who can pull off many hats, if possible. But overall, I would say I've hired and I work with women, and I take a great pleasure in working with women because they have certain strengths, very good strengths. And for instance, our operations manager, she's fantastic, and she's really, really, hard worker, and you would not. I mean, when she was hired, she didn't really appear as a very strong person, but slowly over time she evolved. She was also very young, and she's still very young. And when she was hired, I didn't know she would be doing such a great job and putting so many hats and taking so much responsibility, which you would rather expect. Okay, maybe guys would be more prone to do more keen on doing such things, really working hard and overtime and traveling and everything. But it's really gender neutral. So particularly nowadays, hard skills are very important. Also, soft skills becoming more and more important. How you conduct business online, how you write emails, how you participate in the video calls. These skills becoming more and more important also. And I would say probably it's equally important for men and women to acquire those skills as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious, for you as a woman in the startup world, do you? I know that there's not a lot of women in the startup world. And for those of you in the class, let me explain what a startup is. A startup is pretty much just a business that's just getting started. But particularly in your position, do you find it difficult to get funding for you being a woman and being in a startup tech space?
Absolutely not. I would say that would be my first and quick answer. I think the fact that I'm a woman, getting funding was not easier or harder per se.
Mm-hmm.
Switzerland in general, Switzerland is where we based my startup NANOS.AI. Switzerland in general has a very good ecosystem for fundraising. And it is not why we're here in Switzerland. Before starting company, I looked into different countries. Spain was one of them. San Francisco's location. Also, I went to Berlin. Even looked into spaces already. Acquired information about the salaries for software engineers and so on. Main reason why I went to Switzerland is because of the access to the tech talent, researchers, students in particular, superb talent, which ATH provides us with. But on top of that, Switzerland also provides easy access to money. I mean, this worth a lot, right? If you want to start a company, you are curious, where do I get the money? Where do I go? In Switzerland, there is huge amount of all kinds of support organizations. You go there, you tell them, give them information about your startup, and they try to match you with investors.
Mm-hmm.
Out of my head now, I can name you maybe 5 different institutions who do it, and not commercially. So they do it just because they're being supported by the government. So with that all said, probably wrong question for me, because like I said, in Switzerland, it's rather easy, and particularly if you're looking for seed round investment, pre-seed, seed, and pre-series A. I don't think it's a big deal. All you need to have is a good idea, good team in place. Small team is fine. Average, startup team when they're looking for seed round, pre-seed round is 2-3 people. PhDs maybe still working on their PhD and commercializing the idea based on their PhD topic. And it's rather common that I see female co-founders in these teams, so it's not something completely outrageous. I would say in Switzerland we're probably a bit ahead of the rest of the world with that respect.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Now let me ask you this. I know your startup deals with a lot of machine learning, like you've mentioned. Machine learning, for those of you in the class, I guess the easier way to explain it would be AI, or artificial intelligence, and automation and things of that nature. So I wanted to know, because of your background in also marketing and things of that nature, how can machine learning be used in marketing for those of us who are starting businesses?
Mhm. In a simple words, imagine that you are owner of a flower shop, and give me two cities that are rather similar in the US. Let's say, I don't know.
Let's say Detroit and Chicago.
Perfect. Yeah. So imagine you run a flower shop in Detroit, and Sasha is running a flower shop in Chicago, and you and I, both of us, we just open our flower shop, and we're in the need of new clients. We need to let our neighborhood and beyond know, people know, or maybe also we do some online sales. We need to let people know that we exist, that we're starting, that our flowers are awesome, that they're affordable prices, and we have special packages, and maybe Valentine's Day is coming. So how would we approach online marketing? So we could do it, either try to do it ourselves. We could, open all kind of social media accounts, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, and others. We could also say, okay, I have this marketing budget. I would like to invest, but where, which channels, what do I put in my ad? And also how to make sure that I don't waste the money, because if you go to Google, for instance, and Facebook, try to place an ad, it's very easy to waste money if you
Right.
don't know what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yes, it is.
Imagine you
Yes.
and I, we are not directly competing with each other. However, we're facing exactly the same challenges. And
Hmm.
what machine learning does is it practically democratizes the knowledge. So you and I have equal chances to get to get access and enough information to make informed decisions, what to put in our ad, how much money to spend, which platforms to advertise on. And we also let machine learning technology optimize our advertisements for us, so we don't need to do it. And this is what machine learning does. It's practically takes information from the previous data, from previous campaigns. It knows that what worked, for instance, I don't know, what's the third similar city to Chicago and Detroit?
Hmm.
And it takes information from that flower shop, from that city. And since we're not competing directly or indirectly, even so, we could easily then propagate the information and give access to you to this information, so you could also benefit from technology without actually paying for it much, or actually not paying at all.
Right. Right. So for some of us, what are some great beginning steps that we could take to start incorporating uh, technology and machine learning into our businesses to just get out there?
Mm-hmm. So imagine you have an idea, business concept, strong business concept you really believe in. First of all, you have to be surrounded by the team who are the same as you, believers. Again, look-alike rule.
Yeah.
Cannot
Yeah.
underestimate that. Build a team of co-founders. One or two is enough, who also are devoted and prepared to put time into your business idea, and preferably also money, and significant amount of time, not just part-time, but they're really also devoted to it. And then once you have the idea, you flesh it out, what your business model is, how you actually make money, do you make sure that you're really solving a problem, and that the problem exists. So don't try to solve problem with technology that problems that don't exist. I would say that was probably the first thing for not
Yeah.
to do. But and then take your solution and think, okay, how can you run this solution in a traditional way, which means, with how you can solve with pure software engineering, what you need to build, and then which parts of this solution can be automated if you had access to knowledge and past data, for instance, like in our case, past campaigns data. And then automation is where technology can take over. So this is the big difference between a technological company and software engineering company. Now only talking about software as a service, like companies that provide services online. Obviously, we're not talking about physical products or physical services, but online services. So this is the main difference between a technological company and software engineering company, is that software engineering company can be rebuilt from scratch, let's say for XYZ amount of money, let's say 100,000 of US dollars in 3 months. Technological company, you can't do that. So it takes time to develop technology, first foremost, and the second is, it's not easy to replicate. That's why patents exist. That's why in the case you have technology you really believe in and really solves the problem, you should really consider patenting it. It's not so expensive as people might think it is. It's also not so difficult as people might think it is, but it's always good to have at least one patent for your startup idea, for your technical startup idea.
Yeah. I find that, and again, for those of you in the class who are not aware of automation and exactly what automation is just a way to complete a task, maybe even a redundant task that you have to constantly do every day without you necessarily having to do it. So, for example, I have to post, uh, clips of my podcast episodes, right? So after I do it, I could just schedule it all out in a social media management app. That's automation. Uh, that way, I don't have to every day come in and say, okay, post. That automation allows me to set the schedule and then go ahead and do something else. And that program would run and it will post on its own whenever I supposed to post. You know what I mean? So that's what automation is. I feel that automation is a wonderful tool. It has saved me a ton of time. And when I say a ton of time, I mean time that I can actually get back and actually use it to do other things. For instance, spending time with my wife, because my wife wants more time. I could use that to spend more time with my wife. So class, make sure you jot that down. Make sure that you actually look into automation and how automation could work in your class, or rather in your business. Now, I wanted to save this question towards the end because, like I mentioned to you before, if I don't ask you this question, I'm afraid that my wife might just divorce me. So I need to ask you, what was it like being a Disney Imagineer?
Very good question. Well, since I was a Disney Imagineering cast member, so I was literally exposed to the very core of the parks, and parks are incredible large institutions. I mean, when we were visiting parks backstage, and it has to be really early in the hours, because so there's still no people, no visitors, no park visitors. We were explained how parks work, and how they function, and what the whole complexity of the parks. It was absolutely completely unimaginable from the outside when you walk in a park as a visitor, and when you actually don't know about how it's all functioning underneath. It's actually super cool. But once you walk in a park, and then you also know why things are built this way, or why this particular cast member is talking to you in a particular way, it's really opens up your horizon and makes you even more enjoying the park experience. So I would say being a Disney Imagineering member it's a hard job, because you have to think, company's main audience it's a family entertainment company. So you have to think from perspective of a family, have to think from perspective of entertainment, and find elements in there that you could relate to. For instance, for us, when I just joined Disney Research Lab, the first thing I had to do is to watch all Disney movies and to read all Marvel comic books, and on, and I can continue with this list forever. So this is also part of the job, that. Right. And of course, then there were other additional perks, which is a long list, but also it is hard work, because you really, really need to put yourself into perspective, because in particular when you work in technology is not something that can be built in a day or two, and it doesn't work in sprints, right? It has much longer cycles. So you have to think and imagine what kind of problem or what kind of new technologies, new businesses would need to be built in order to make this company successful. And things like, for instance, now with pandemic, who would have thought this would happen, right? If we would be talking now 4 or 5 months ago, we would be talking about it, what kind of new businesses will emerge in the entertainment industry, online marketing industry. I would probably have given you a different answer. Most likely I would have given you a different answer if you asked me this question now. So what's the next big thing? Now just look where we are doing right now. We are having a podcast, we are having a virtual interaction, and what's the next level, how it's going to evolve. I think this is a huge business opportunity for any students who are looking into new business ideas and new concepts.
I would definitely agree. What are some things that you think is imperative for people with businesses to know right now, especially dealing with this current state of affairs with COVID-19, everywhere now? What are some things that you think people who are currently in business and are planning on starting businesses should know right now that will help them immensely?
So there, in my opinion, there are 2 very important things. One thing is what you must do, and the second thing is my suggestion to do, based on my past experiences. So the one thing you must do if your business is physical and doesn't have online presence yet, is to build your online presence. And even if you continue being a physical store, and no matter what you do and of providing physical services, you have to build online presence for your product or for your services. This is absolute must, and this uncertain conditions, we don't know, how things are going to be evolved, and whether there would be more and more waves are coming, and if we all will be stuck at homes for the next little while and an uncertain time period. You have to take care of your online presence. First of all, you have to take care of online presence of your company, of your business, but also about your own online personal presence. Because if you, as a company owner, if you are not present online, your company doesn't exist. I mean, you can have, maybe, I don't know, a couple thousands of followers here and there on a couple of platforms, but people they're not interested in companies, people are interested in people. And this is why you, as a future business owner, already being a business owner, you have to build your online presence. It's like topping your bank account with money. You have to put out the content. You have to be out there, speak on behalf of your company, what you do, what your product is all about, why you're better than any of the existing competitors, and what kind of problems you solve, and who are your customers and how happy they are with your product. So that's the thing that you must do nowadays. And the second thing is turning challenges into opportunities. I mean, it sounds a bit vague. Okay, challenges, we all stress right now. There's lots of things I have to juggle today, prior joining this podcast. But turning challenges into opportunities, not being afraid of, facing the challenge. Okay, admit I have a challenge. Yes, it's happening. It limits me in a certain way. It maybe poses a certain risk, danger to my business. Try to think calmly how to turn it into opportunity. And sometimes it really takes a little. Believe it or not, most challenging situations I faced, the next day they didn't look so challenging anymore. This is one of my rules. I would say almost rule number 1. Tomorrow is the next day. What might concern you very much today, tomorrow there's a new data arrives, a new data point, a new piece of information. And all of a sudden you see that there's this Genesis moment, there's this sparkle, there's this idea who could really, really turn this huge challenge and scary challenge into an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. So let me just recap real quick. So one, we had to be mindful of our social media presence. One, as a company. Two, as personal.
Person, think
And
about it as a bank account. You
yeah,
topping up your bank account. That's your investment, and it takes time to build up your bank account. It takes time to build up your online presence.
yeah, yeah. And the second thing you mentioned was taking challenges and making them into opportunities. Two great things that I'm so glad you mentioned. I think it's difficult for some of us to turn challenges into opportunities. I think you have to look at things with a certain type of eye in a certain type of way in order for you to make that transition from challenge to opportunity. And again, coming from the sports world, we have a game plan going into the game. However, we tend to forget that the other team have a game plan for us as well, you know, and that the game plan will and oftentimes does change from moment to moment to moment. So one play that might be working now, in the next series of plays, it might not work. So we may have to alter the play just a tad bit. I think that's a very valid point that you brought up. One thing that I do want to ask you, because I know you've started and ran 4 companies up to date, right? I want to know, what's the one thing you wish you knew before you started your business?
So, if I understood correctly, what piece of information I wish I knew before starting my first business?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I underestimated the importance of having a team that is devoted to the same goal. It might sound silly, it's very clear that everybody should have a team when you build a company,
Mm-hmm.
when you have an idea that you should have same-minded people around you who are also immersed in the same idea as you are. But I would say it was not probably enough pronounced in my head when I was starting my first company. I thought, okay, I can do everything. I can do alone. I can hire people to do this. I can hire people to do that. But what really, really makes a difference, and I saw it later with when continuing working, being an entrepreneur, and also when joining a large corporation, the importance of the team. It's often underestimated by somebody who is just about to start a new company. It is the team whom you trust. You give your profession. You trust professionally first foremost, and
Mm-hmm.
whom you largely respect. So this is why it is so important when you choose, for instance, a co-founder, that if you know the person already, if you already worked with that person in the past, it's fantastic, and if experience was positive. If you don't know the person and you maybe were introduced on a blind date, and you considering having this person in your team, in your co-founding team, it's hugely important to spend some time with that person, even get to know his or her family and get references. And, as simple as it might sound, just Google the person, to see what you get out
Yeah.
there. How was he or she topping up their bank account of information on the social media? You can get a lot of information from by just Googling somebody's name nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's important, this thing should not be underestimated. The importance of the team, which is for me is the same-minded people who are driven towards the same goal or goals as you are.
Mm-hmm. I think that's amazing. I think that is a valid point. Let me ask you this. I know earlier you mentioned that you have your ecosystem, you're able to have a family and still run your business. I'm wondering though, how do you run your business and still find balance with your home life?
I would say I'm much more efficient now when I have a family than I was in the past. Even when I had when I was working in a large corporation, I would put a lot of hours. I would say now I work less, but much more efficient. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the first thing that you learn is efficiency. So before I would maybe spend, I don't know, half an hour writing one email and contemplating, Now I would just write an email, the first draft, then I put it aside, do something else, and then I go back to it a little bit later, read it again. And, I get, it is just faster and more efficient. So I would say efficiency is something that you learn over time. If you want to do everything you want to do, I mean, some people, they run multiple companies, the CEO of multiple companies, while you're still having hobbies and playing golf and I don't know what. So how they do it? They have designated team they trust, professional trust, mutual trust. They are efficient in their time, and they stand on 3 legs. And 3 legs are, first, they love what they do. So it's never a work, it's never a job. It's just you love what you do. Second, you have a steady private situation. You have either family or you're super happy alone, could also be. It was also my case years ago. I was super happy alone and bachelor and, working like hell and, working really hard, partying really hard and having lots of hobbies, learning languages and traveling and so on, and doing horse riding, God knows what. So second leg, family, personal situation. And the third leg is your hobby, something you're really passionate in doing. In my case, it was in different times. It was sometimes it was learning a new language, for instance, Spanish or Italian, or horse riding. I would just take trips and travel to some country, for instance, to Hungary, to take horse riding lessons just because I really loved it. It made me very happy. And you cannot stand on one leg for too long. You cannot just work. It's it will not end well. And you cannot just be super focused on the family, because we humans, we are interesting creatures. We need some variety. We cannot just focus on one. We need a good profession. We feel happy and appreciated, important. And we need stable family situation, and we need a hobby we're really excited about. Unfortunately, I need to jump off to my next call.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
One last question. Do we have time for one last question?
Okay. Sure, Bernard. No problem.
What is something personal that you want the class to know about you that can't be found on Google or Wikipedia?
Well, I'll tell you a secret. We should stay here with this audience. Only a few people know about this secret about me, but I mean, now I can openly talk about it. I was not able to talk about it in the past. When you join a large corporation, like when I joined Disney, I was told I had to watch all the movies and read all the comic books and so on, and visit all the parks, international, worldwide, and I did. But what I didn't do is I never watched Star Wars. And I managed to work in this company without actually revealing the secret to anybody, that I actually never watched a single Star Wars series. And what I did, I read all transcripts and storylines on Wikipedia, and I got by as good, so nobody noticed it that I never watched it. But now, of course, I can talk about it openly, which I couldn't do before, and that's not on Google.
Oh my goodness, you are making all of the geeks cry at the moment.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. That's the fact.
It's okay. It's okay. I know you have a hard stop. I do appreciate you for coming by to the classroom and teaching us this lesson. And just for a brief moment, I want you to tell everybody, I want you to tell the classroom where you could be found and what you got going on right now.
Sure, you can ping me on any of the social networks. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, the professional network. Also, you can find my channel, Sasha Schriber channel, on YouTube, or check out my company, NANOS.AI. You can also email me at sasha.ask@nanos.ai if you have any questions directly to me. So just Google me and find any of the channels to reach me.
Awesome. Again, I thank you for coming out to the class. To the classroom, I want you to know that this was another amazing lesson. We appreciate you, Guest Professor Sasha, for coming out to the School of Hard Knocks. And to the classroom, you know what I always say around this time. I want you to go after and chase after whatever you want with violent action. Until next time, I'm your Chancellor, and I will see you in the next one. about 15 years ago. I hated where I was at, and I knew that I was meant for more. Greatness even. I wanted to start a business, and I asked my friends and family, how do I start a business? 90% of them never started a business before, and the 10% that didn't remember what they did. So I went on and earned my bumps and bruises from the School of Hard Knocks. My inspiration for the School of Hard Knocks and the courses that I've created was to reach people that felt the same way that I felt way back when. Like I was destined for more. The purpose of the Genesis Project podcast was to move those same people toward that greatness with the guest professor that comes to the show and learn from their mistakes. This is a call to action to those who are searching for greatness. Join the School of Hard Knocks by commenting, sharing, subscribing, and get this message out to those searching for greatness. Click on the links in the description to get more information. And everything you do, everything that you chase after with violent action. I'll see you in the hallway.